Welcome back to the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Going into this frosty week, and it's going to be frozen everybody everywhere, roads, all that stuff. So be careful, be safe, and let's just settle in and watch some video. Let's have a little story time at the Tidarium Hangar. We're going to talk about how Fanstoys killed the KOs of their own products, which they're technically not KOs. They're technically all new molds by the designers that didn't get compensated properly, which kind of comes full circle. But I've talked about all of this in the past. Well, I've discussed all this, but this past week it really dawned on me exactly what happened. Now, I'm going to give you the facts and I'm going to give you my speculation, because I really think the reason this didn't come out comes down to one thing, and I'll talk about that. But it's actually really bad that this didn't come out, and I'll also tell you why. So the downside to Fanstoys and their channel power and their ability to block the KOs, that's one thing. But the other end of it is why the consumer actually ultimately paid the price. Coming up. All right, so what exactly happened in this situation? Well, the story goes that the designers that designed Thomas and Quietus and a handful of these figures didn't get adequately compensated for their work, and after I guess some dispute, they split off and decided to make their own production run. In turn, I guess they thought they were going to make a lot of money, and they were going to effectively compete directly with Fanstoys, except for at a lower price. And significantly, about $110, $115 to get the Thomas here. And I think the cheapest one would have been, I think it was going to be $80 to get, I don't think the price actually came out, but I was assuming $80 to go ahead and get that Lupus. But now, there were a few things that Fanstoys did. Before we get into that, I'm going to tell you the quality of theirs. Because, I mean, if you're saying one-to-one, do I even want to get one of these that are still lingering on the market and still get it cheaper than Fanstoys? Well, it's a possibility, so let me tell you what's going on with you. I did a side-by-side comparison to the originals for all of them. I think all of them. I'm not sure if I remember doing the Acoustic Wave one, but we'll get into that. But I believe Thomas was the most solid of the first round that came out. So we got Thomas, and then we got a Quietus, and this one was more solid. The joints are solid. It holds up really well. Some people did report that they had broken apart when transforming, and some other people had trouble lining panels up and stuff. But for the most part, like, I looked at other people's pictures of transformations, it really wasn't bad. Thinking that you're really getting it like $150 cheaper, and some minor QC differences is not a big deal. But I do think they did a good job on Thomas, and just the way Fanstoys made Thomas, there's less chance of messing them up. But he is a bigger one. He's a triple changer, a little more expensive. So would I suggest to get a Thomas? I don't know, because it didn't transform mine, but if you like to flip them back and forth, I think you might pay up a little more for the Fanstoys. But at the same time, if you just, like 70% of the people that just get bought and put it on the shelf, he's going to do great. He's going to do fine. Next one is, I'm going to say this. I never really truly understood the difference between, there was an MH01, the other ones were RP, like they were copying Robot Paradise for Thomas, but is that right? And this is MH Fleet Commander, and Thomas was RP-44 Thomas. This is MH. So there was question if there was multiple people involved that were doing their own thing, like as in multiple designers worked on the designs, and one guy went out and did his thing, another guy went out and did his thing. So I don't have those facts, but that's just kind of what was guessed. The facts are, this thing exists. That's a fact, right? This thing exists at a price point. This thing can still be found on eBay. We'll look at that here in a little bit. At a price point. Cheaper, significantly cheaper still than buying an original Fanstoys. Now, what were my issues with this? I found that it had, I tried to get a good picture, but orange pill paint job. And yeah, with that, it actually, this has got a glare reflection on it, but it actually, according to my own words in my video, is that it had a more of a purple look to it than even the original one. Now, this was based on the T version, it's a toy version, not the first version, so it makes, I guess, the first version more rare. I don't know if they ever came out with a the KO of the first version or not. I think they just did the T, but they might have done the first version too. Not 100% sure, but still, it looked good. It came with all the same accessories, and it was, I think, 110, 114 or something like that. Versus, well, the original run was about I think it was 160 at TF Source, and I didn't know about Show Z back then. I believe that's how it went. But anyhow, the interesting thing about this, and what got me excited about this, was though you're gonna have an official Fanstoys, and then you could get 2 more for about the same price as his Armada. And you can get all the different color variations and iterations, and that's an awesome display. That's what I did. And so, well, I won't say my display I have set up is awesome. You throw an extra transpots in there too, but yeah, that's so you think about it with the sweeps, scores and sweeps. You think about that with him. I mean, and they didn't really make a whole lot in 1986 of bad guy characters, so they just said, hey, this one character's got a bunch of other that look the same, and so buy a bunch of them and have the whole army, the Armada in this case. But with that, I did say orange pill paint job, right? The paint wasn't as smooth. And also, they made an orange version. But getting kind of back to the standard Quietus T look there, the joints are not as tight as Fanstoys. And it's just that Fanstoys stuff's really tight. And these are not as tight. They're a little looser in some of the joints, especially the hips. Maybe a little bit in the shoulders and stuff, but not bad. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. And one of the things is, if you were to like be out at a toy show or something, you pick up a Quietus, one of the KOs, the MH version, then you probably would never tell. Like, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you if I'm in the wild, there's a lot going on, and I pick one up and I go, oh, I can't tell if it's official or not. So I gotta have them side by side to notice the differences. So it's not bad. It's not bad. If it's the only one you have in your collection, you're gonna like it, because Fanstoys did a great job with it, and those designers did a great job with it. But there's something about Fanstoys and their manufacturing, their process. They have it down to a science. Other people that are trying to do that on their own, even if they were part of the process, aren't quite as good, evidently. But this orange one is fascinating. I think it is shattered glass or something, but I'm not an expert on shattered glass. And I like it. I like the fact that I got an orange one. It's just weird and different. And it's something that Fanstoys is never going to give us, I don't think. Which I'm surprised they didn't do one in orange just out of spite. Then we got the Robot Paradise Acoustic Wave, which it's RP01. It's not actually called Robot Paradise. And so with that, we are actually going to get into a few other aspects of this. But it was $94.95. So $95 from where I got mine from. And we're going to have to get into that. I think it's fine. Like, actually, with this one, I should go try to find my video and watch. But if my memory serves me, I don't notice much difference. There's a little bit of looseness in the cassettes versus Fanstoys cassettes are much tighter. And a little looseness in the cassettes. But the bot itself, I felt very, very similar. Like, they did a really good job on the bot. But, yeah, and the cassettes look nice. I like the cassettes. Even with the gappiness and stuff here and there, I'm not bothered by that at all, actually. I like the paint job the most out of all the cassettes. I like MMC's bigger size, though. But at the same time, this is, hands down, best Soundwave. Was the one Fanstoys made. This is a direct copy of it. Instead of $250 or whatever, it's $95. So that was amazing. I'm sure it's going to go for a lot more than $95 these days on the secondary market, since the production was 3 years ago. But yeah, kind of fun. When your prototype images look like a bar of soap, that means that it hasn't gone to tooling yet, in my understanding. But with this, there's a reason why this never got made, and I don't know it, but I have a speculation, and you have to wait till the end, so sorry about that. So the thing about this one here is that when this one was announced, it was like people were excited for it. Out of all of them, most of the people that were collecting at the time were keeping up and buying the Fanstoys stuff that was coming out and fighting to get those pre-orders. And so the other ones were interesting. But this one was like, dude, they haven't had sales since 2014. And it's 2022 or whatever, whenever this was going on. And people really wanted this. It might have been 2021, 22, somewhere around there. But people did want this really bad. And I was one of those. I was like, man, I passed on it when it first came around, simply because I was still trying to work on season 1 still. Like, we're still in the middle of season 1 when this came out, and trying to get those characters together. And now it's like, okay, we've moved on season 4 already, so let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. Let's go back and revisit this. And one of the things Fanstoys did to kind of put a stop to these was that they reissued theirs. Now, Fanstoys put their Lupus back out as a reissue, and I think it was still over $200, around $200, something like that, for the Lupus reissue. Now, I went ahead and got the official reissue from Shozi's store. And with that, a lot of people just ponied up for the official because now it's available and it's easy to get everywhere. It's pre-order everywhere. And they beat the KO to the market. And that was one minor factor in it. But what were the other factors that were going on? So yeah, they reissued it and they snuffed out the KO. But as you can see, the prices now, I mean, look at these prices. These are higher than the pandemic era pre-reissue prices back then. And don't be fooled by some of these lower prices. I mean, the 260 is actually not bad. That's one of the better ones. But the rest of the ones coming from China, look at the $100 shipping, $70 delivery. The first thing that Fanstoys did, and they're very predatory. They're predatory to an nth degree to just standard competition. But if you're going to compete against them with their own product, even though you have rights to it, they're going to do whatever they can. They're going to institute their channel power. They're going to throw it around. So what they did was they told all of the retailers that you will not stock these. You will not sell these, or we will end our business relationship. We will no longer do business with you. We will no longer sell you our product. And only like 3 or 4 distributors challenged it, and it was an empty threat, evidently. Now, I actually don't know all the details, because it could have been like, TF Direct sold them, and they still have them. They're hosting the pictures and stuff of them if you have a direct link to them because you ordered them, like I did. And I got mine from TF Direct. I did used to do reviews for them. I do like TF Direct. It's one of my backups when Shozi sells out of something and I don't get to it quick enough, or Shozi chooses, in this case, not to carry the product. You see? So Shozi didn't carry it. They took the threat very seriously, and they were like, well, we'd rather have longevity with a company that we know we do a lot of good business with than what could be a fly in the night kind of company that only has 3 releases. Oh, they only had 3 releases. And I don't even know, I think the Soundwave, one of these, the Fleet Commander might be one, and Soundwave and Thomas be another one, but at the same time, yeah, this is one of the first tactics they used. In addition to threatening all of the retailers that if you carry this product, and of course US retailers wouldn't carry them anyway because they were classified as KO, they also reissued their figures themselves, and then they put out these cassettes packs, and I'm starting to wonder if the cassette packs were probably not part of the designer's designs. Maybe they were designed by someone else and they were held in the pocket. So something that, like, you can't get these cassettes. You'd have to buy their official cassettes if you bought their KOs. And another thing that kind of got me was I saw somewhere online where there was somebody saying that they had the KOs coming. And then when I got to my news, I couldn't find that article again. And so it was taken down as if maybe it was false information or something. So I can't validate that. But yeah, it's one of those things. The KO companies didn't do the cassettes. And I would think these would be easier than a full-on Masterpiece figure. I mean, I'm pretty sure they are easier to make and simple to manufacture and cheaper to tool. I will say Fanstoys did have a higher quality. Even though you're paying almost twice the price, they had the higher quality of these figures. And I personally believe that the fourth party ones, they are new tooling. And they're not tooled exactly the same. And they're not made exactly the same. And they're not made to the specifications. It's one thing it's kind of like one of those things. I feel like this whole scenario is like you're working your job and you see your boss doing their job and you're like, I could do this job better than this boss. I could do my boss's job better than they do it. And I see employees do that all the time. Until you see someone get promoted that isn't ready, but they've been saying this all along, and then it's like, oh, crud, I can't do the job as well. So that's just the situation. And I've seen it many, many times. And in this situation here, they didn't do it as well as Fanstoys So the quality spoke for itself also. Ultimately, what killed this is the fact that I personally think they ran out of money. So I think that they did those production runs on those first three, whether it's one person doing it, a group of people doing it, or separate groups doing separate projects. 3 were made. And nobody was left with enough cash to do a production run of Lupus. Now you got to tool the guy, you got to tool the figure. That costs like $56,000 or something like that. Then you've got to pay for the full production run of it, which is like another $100,000. And then I don't think they had the money. You got to transfer that into yuan for this situation, but I don't think they had the money. I think they were strapped for cash. Think about it. They went out on this venture on their own because they didn't get compensated properly. So they're already short on funds. I mean, just think about simple logic there. And why would they plop more money down on this when they're already finding out that they're not able to beat Fanstoys at it? They might get real close. And I will say this. I don't dislike any of the ones I own. I think they're fine. And I'm just pointing out the minor differences. They're still fine. They're still above what some of the other companies have done. But at the same time, still not up to Fanstoys quality. And that got them. Now, I don't want to end this I definitely don't want to end on a negative note. I wish we would have gotten Lupus, the Lupus KO. I was going to compare it to the original. That was my goal. I wasn't able to do that. But here's the prices if you want to buy them. Now, these are direct from China, and these are the lowest priced ones. And always be careful, because look at the delivery price. Sometimes they'll say 20. Sometimes they'll say 100. Maybe 120. And then you still get the orange one right now, so I don't 100% trust them. I don't even know what other online retailers carried them other than TF Direct. They're sold out of all of them. And then the Thomas, that's the price. That thing has kind of gone up a bit because it was like a 110 or something originally. And now they're a lot more than that. And yeah, if you want to pick up one of those, I think it's a fine figure. If you want to flip back and forth, you might have some problems. And then we got the Acoustic Wave, which I think is solid. I mean, it's solid all around. If you don't care about the box, then it's a pretty good option. Prices are definitely all over the place on this guy, but you can still get them in around the $120 mark if that's a thing that you're looking to do. But with that, the fourth parties of Fanstoys would have definitely given a more affordable option if they would have been allowed to stick around a little bit longer. But it's not how the cards played out in this. So now that this little story time's over, I'm curious what you have to say about this topic of the Fanstoys KO and how Fanstoys kind of snuffed them out. They used their channel power. They did reissues. And they continued putting out products alongside this that I don't think the designers had access to. We can go deeper on some other like ethical and moral grounds with all of this, but it's all living in that gray area. Did you get any of these? Do you like these? Did you play a game where you had the original, you bought the KO for $100, sold your original for $300, and sat there with an extra $200 to go towards other things in your collection? I think a lot of people might have done that also. But let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and take care and hang around. Stay warm.